Tom Miller never expected to find himself at an interstellar diplomatic reception, yet here he was, representing Earth's Space Agriculture Department. At 32 years old, he was the youngest expert in hydroponics engineering, and the only human who had successfully grown Earth crops in alien soil compositions. The reception hall gleamed with crystalline structures that changed colors with the movement of guests. Beings from across the galaxy mingled, their translucent diplomatic badges glowing with their species identification markers. Tom felt out of place in his Earth-standard formal suit, surrounded by creatures of various shapes, sizes, and numbers of limbs. That's when he first saw her, Ambassador Rose of the Star People. Despite her alien nature, she had a grace that caught his attention immediately. Her skin had a subtle shimmer like moonlight on water, and her eyes held the deep purple of distant nebulae. The Star People were known for their advanced biotechnology and their ability to adapt their forms to closely match other species for diplomatic purposes. Rose approached him with fluid movements that seemed to defy gravity. "You must be the Earth expert who succeeded in growing your planet's wheat in Centaurian soil," she said, her voice carrying musical undertones that made Tom's skin tingle. Their conversation flowed naturally from agriculture to cultural exchange. Tom found himself fascinated by her insights into universal farming patterns across different civilizations. She understood Earth's agricultural challenges in ways that suggested deep research into his planet's history. As the evening progressed, they moved to one of the reception hall's floating gardens. The air was thick with the scent of alien flowers that pulsed with bioluminescence. Rose explained how her people had evolved from beings of pure energy before choosing physical forms to interact with other species. "Your species fascinates us," she said, moving closer. "You achieve so much despite your biological limitations. Your determination to overcome obstacles through innovation rather than evolution is attractive." Tom felt his heart race as she leaned in closer. The diplomatic protocols regarding interspecies contact were strict, but there was something about Rose that made him forget every regulation he'd memorized during his preparation for this mission. When their lips met, Tom experienced a sensation like electricity running through his entire body. The kiss lasted only moments, but it felt like touching a star, warm, powerful, and somehow both dangerous and wonderful at the same time. As they parted, Rose's eyes seemed to glow more intensely. "That was unexpected," she whispered. "I've never experienced human affection quite so directly before." Neither of them realized that this simple kiss would change not only their lives but potentially the future of human-alien relations forever. As Tom bid her goodnight and returned to his quarters in the Earth Embassy section, he had no idea that the next morning would bring the biggest surprise of his life. The diplomatic reception would be remembered as the beginning of something unprecedented in the history of interstellar relations, though not for any of the official agreements signed that night. Tom woke to the insistent beeping of his room's communication panel. His head felt unusually heavy, and there was a strange tingling sensation throughout his body, like the after-effects of the kiss from last night, but stronger. The room's auto lights gradually brightened, revealing something that made him jump out of bed in shock. Floating in a softly glowing sphere of energy near his bed was what appeared to be a baby. But not just any baby. This infant had skin that shimmered like moonlight and eyes that held the same deep purple as Ambassador Rose's. The energy sphere pulsed gently, maintaining a perfect environment for its precious cargo. Before Tom could process what he was seeing, his room's communication panel activated, projecting Ambassador Rose's image. She looked both excited and nervous, emotions he hadn't thought possible for a star person to display. "Good morning, Tom," she said, her voice carrying those same musical undertones from last night. "I see you've met our child. I apologize for any shock this may cause you, but among my people, the exchange of genetic material can happen through any meaningful physical contact. We had no idea it would be compatible with humans." Tom sat down hard in his desk chair, staring at the floating sphere and its occupant. The baby looked at him with eyes that seemed far too aware for a newborn. "But how? This is impossible. It's only been a few hours." Rose's projection smiled. "The star people exist partially in what you would call quantum space-time. Our reproduction process occurs in accelerated time compared to your linear experience. The kiss we shared triggered an unexpected genetic merger, and our biology took care of the rest. The baby made a sound that reminded Tom of wind chimes, reaching out toward him with tiny fingers that seemed to trail stardust. The sight stirred something deep in his heart, despite the impossibility of the situation. The Galactic Council has already been notified, Rose continued. This is unprecedented, the first viable human-star-person hybrid in recorded history. Our scientists are fascinated by the implications. It seems humans have a unique genetic adaptability we never suspected. Tom stood on shaky legs and approached the energy sphere. As he got closer, the baby's skin shifted colors slightly, matching his own tone before returning to its original shimmer. Are they healthy? More than healthy, Rose beamed. Our child shows signs of both species' strengths. They can process energy like my people, but also has the incredible adaptability of humans. The sphere is just a precaution while they adjust to physical form. The diplomatic quarter erupted into chaos as news of the unprecedented birth spread. Security teams scrambled to protect the new family from curious onlookers and overeager scientists. Representatives from a dozen species demanded emergency council sessions to discuss the implications. But Tom barely noticed the commotion. He was transfixed by the tiny being who had literally appeared overnight. The baby reached out again, and this time, Tom extended his hand toward the sphere. To his surprise, his fingers passed through the energy field without resistance. When the baby grasped his finger, he felt a warmth that spread through his entire body. What should we name them? Rose asked softly through the communication panel. Before Tom could respond, the baby made another chiming sound, and every light in his quarters pulsed in sync. He had a feeling that raising this child would be the greatest adventure of his life, and possibly the biggest challenge in human-alien relations history. Within hours, the Galactic Council chamber was packed with representatives from every major space-faring civilization. Tom sat nervously beside Ambassador Rose, their baby's energy sphere floating between them. The child, whom they had temporarily nicknamed Star, until a proper name could be chosen, was attracting amazed stares from the assembled aliens. The council leader, a being of pure light contained within an ancient mechanical frame, spoke first. In 10,000 years of documented interspecies relations, nothing like this has ever occurred. The star people's ability to reproduce through energy transfer was known, but compatibility with a non-energy-based species was thought impossible. Scientists from various worlds had already begun requesting permission to study the child. Some saw the birth as a threat to galactic order, while others hailed it as a breakthrough in interspecies relations. Tom felt overwhelmed by the attention, but he noticed that stars seemed to react to the emotional energy in the room, their skin shifting through various patterns of light. The human's genetic structure has been permanently altered by this encounter, announced a reptilian medical expert, displaying complex holographic data. His DNA now contains traces of quantum state matter. He is, in essence, becoming a hybrid himself. Tom looked at his hands in surprise, finally understanding the tingling sensation that hadn't left his body since the kiss. Under certain lights, his skin had begun to show the faintest shimmer, similar to Rose's but barely noticeable. Rose stood to address the council, her form radiating diplomatic authority. This child represents something our civilizations have long sought, proof that we are not as different as we sometimes believe. Their existence bridges the gap between energy and matter, between your science and ours. The chamber erupted in debate. Some council members argued that the child posed a security risk and should be contained for study. Others saw the political advantages of stronger human-star people relations. Through it all, Star remained calm, occasionally making musical sounds that seemed to soothe the most agitated delegates. There is another concern, the council leader announced, silencing the chamber. The child's development rate appears to be accelerated, like that of the star people. They may reach maturity in a matter of weeks rather than human years. Are you prepared for this, Earth Representative Miller? Tom stood, surprising himself with his steadiness. On Earth, we have a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Looking around this chamber, I see not just a village, but a galaxy of potential teachers and guardians. Star will need guidance in understanding both their human and star people heritage. They will need to learn to control abilities we can't yet imagine. As if responding to their father's words, Star's energy sphere pulsed brightly. The child raised their tiny hands, and suddenly, every piece of technology in the chamber activated simultaneously. Holographic displays danced with new patterns, and communication devices chimed in harmony. The council leader's mechanical frame hummed with interest. It seems the child has inherited both species' aptitudes for innovation. The star people's energy manipulation and humanity's drive to explore and create have combined in unexpected ways. Rose moved closer to Tom, her form shifting slightly to match his increasingly hybrid nature. We request that the Council recognize our family unit as legitimate and grant us protected status while we learn to navigate these unprecedented circumstances. The chamber fell silent as the Council leader considered. Star continued to play with the chamber's technology, creating beautiful patterns of light and energy that reflected the combination of their heritage. Tom realized that regardless of the Council's decision, his life had changed forever, and somehow, he was okay with that. The Council leader's frame brightened as they prepared to deliver their verdict, and Tom held his breath, knowing that the next words would determine not just his family's fate, but potentially the future of human-alien relations throughout the galaxy. The Council's verdict had been unexpected. They granted the family protected status but required them to remain under observation at a special facility on a neutral world. 2 weeks had passed since then, and Tom was struggling to keep up with Star's remarkable growth rate. His child now appeared to be the equivalent of a human toddler, walking on their own and speaking in a mixture of Earth languages and the musical tones of the Star people. "Dad, look!" Star called out, their voice carrying harmonic overtones that made the observation room's crystals resonate. The child had discovered they could manipulate energy fields to create three-dimensional images in the air. Currently, they were recreating a perfect model of Earth's solar system, complete with accurate orbital patterns. Tom watched in amazement, his own slightly shimmering skin responding to his child's energy signature. His transformation had continued gradually. He wasn't becoming a full star person, but rather something in between, just like his child. The scientists studying them called it adaptive evolution. Rose materialized in the room, her form shifting through various states of matter before settling into her preferred humanoid appearance. "The Council's scientists have completed their latest round of tests," she announced. "They're fascinated by how Star is integrating both of our species' abilities. They can manipulate energy like my people, but they approach problems with human creativity." As if to demonstrate this, Star began adding hypothetical planets to their solar system model, calculating new gravitational patterns that could sustain life. The child's purple eyes sparkled with excitement as they explained their theories using advanced mathematical concepts they couldn't possibly have been taught. "They're growing so fast," Tom said, running a hand through his hair, which now had streaks that seemed to catch starlight even indoors. "Not just physically, but mentally. Sometimes they talk about concepts I barely understand." Rose moved closer, her energy field gently merging with Tom's newly developed one. "My people typically reach mental maturity very quickly, but Star is different. They're not just accumulating knowledge, they're innovating, creating new ideas. It's the human part of them." Their moment was interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the facility. Star's solar system model vanished as the child looked around in confusion. The observation room screens filled with urgent messages. Ships were appearing at the edge of the system, ignoring all hails and protocols. "Pirates," Rose said, her form shifting into a more defensive configuration. "They must have learned about Star. The black market for unique biological specimens is still active in some sectors." Tom felt a protective surge that manifested as actual energy crackling around his body. His transformation had progressed enough that he could now generate defensive fields, though nowhere near as powerful as a full Star person. "We need to get Star to the secure level." But Star had other ideas. The child stood in the center of the room, their skin pulsing with patterns of light that Tom had never seen before. "It's okay," they said, their voice carrying new harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. I can see them. I can feel their ship's energy signatures. Before either parent could react, Star raised their small hands. The facility's screens showed the pirate ships suddenly losing power, their energy being drawn away by an invisible force. Star's body glowed brighter, processing and redistributing the stolen energy through the facility's defense systems. They're not bad people, Star explained, their voice holding wisdom beyond their apparent years. They're desperate. Their worlds are dying from energy depletion. I can help them, show them how to renew their power sources. That's why I was born, isn't it? To help bridge different worlds. Tom and Rose exchanged amazed looks. Their child, barely 2 weeks old but with the appearance and intelligence of a precocious toddler, was already thinking about helping others. It was becoming clear that Star's unprecedented existence might be more than just a scientific curiosity. It could be the key to solving problems that had plagued the galaxy for generations. The aftermath of the pirate incident changed everything. Word spread quickly through the galaxy about the hybrid child who could redistribute energy and revitalize dying worlds. Star, now appearing like a young teenager after just 1 month, had become a symbol of hope for countless civilizations. Tom stood at the window of their new quarters in the Galactic Council's main station, watching ships from hundreds of worlds arrive to petition for Star's help. His own transformation had stabilized. He now existed in a permanent state between human and star person, his skin constantly shimmering with a subtle glow that matched his daughter's. The council is worried, Rose said, materializing beside him. They fear we've become too important too quickly. Some species are already building temples to worship Star as some kind of cosmic savior. In the adjacent room, Star was conducting what they called energy restructuring sessions, teaching representatives from various worlds how to tap into their planet's natural energy fields. Their methods combined the Star people's ancient knowledge with human intuition in ways that neither species had considered before. I never imagined being a father would mean raising a galactic diplomat, Tom said, watching as Star expertly explained complex energy principles to a group of beings from different species. Sometimes I still think about that night at the reception, how one kiss changed everything. Rose's form flickered with amusement. Our scientists are still trying to understand how it happened. They say the probability was infinitesimal, something about your specific genetic code resonating with my energy signature in exactly the right way. Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion in the teaching room. Star had created a massive holographic display showing the energy fields of multiple galaxies interconnected by invisible threads of power. The assembled delegates gasped in awe as Star manipulated the display, revealing how energy flowed between stars and planets in cosmic rivers. It's all connected, Star explained, their voice carrying the musical tones of the Star people mixed with human warmth. Every world, every species, every particle of matter and wave of energy, they're all part of the same cosmic dance. We've just forgotten how to see the patterns. Tom felt pride swell in his chest, manifesting as a bright pulse of energy that made nearby instruments flicker. His child had inherited the best of both worlds, the Star people's understanding of energy and humanity's drive to help others. Star wasn't just teaching. They were reshaping how species across the galaxy thought about energy and cooperation. But with their growing influence came growing challenges. Some factions saw Star's abilities as a threat to their power. Energy monopolies that had controlled resources for centuries were facing obsolescence. Political alliances built on energy dependency were beginning to crumble. The Council has received threats, Rose said quietly, her form shifting anxiously. Not everyone wants to see the old systems change. They're calling for Star to be contained, studied, controlled. Star turned from their lesson, obviously having heard their mother's words despite the distance. Their purple eyes held both wisdom and determination. They're afraid because they don't understand yet. Fear comes from feeling powerless, and that's exactly what I'm trying to help with. Everyone should have access to the energy they need to thrive. As if to demonstrate their point, Star reached out with their power, connecting with the station's systems. The entire structure hummed with enhanced energy, and for a moment, Every being on board could feel the interconnected web of power that Star perceived constantly. Besides, Star added with a smile that reminded Tom of his own, you can't contain an idea whose time has come. And you definitely can't contain someone who's both as stubborn as a human and as fluid as a star person. Tom and Rose exchanged proud looks. Their child had become something neither of their species could have predicted, a bridge between worlds, a key to unlocking the galaxy's energy potential, and most importantly, a force for positive change. 2 months after Star's remarkable birth, the Galactic Council Station hosted the largest gathering of species in recorded history. Star, now appearing as a young adult, stood before representatives from over 1,000 worlds. Their skin shimmered with complex patterns of light that reflected both their human heritage and Star People energy manipulation abilities. We stand at a crossroads, Star addressed the assembled beings, their voice carrying harmonics that touched each species in a way they could uniquely understand. For too long, the galaxy has been divided by energy politics and resource competitions. But I'm living proof that seemingly incompatible things can come together to create something new and wonderful. Tom watched from the side of the chamber, his own transformed body glowing with paternal pride. Rose stood beside him, her energy form intertwined with his in a way that would have been impossible before their fateful kiss. They had become living symbols of unity themselves, the human who became part energy being, and the star person who learned to embrace physical form. The opposition groups are still out there, Rose whispered, referring to the coalition of energy monopolies and conservative species who feared change. They'd been gathering forces at the edge of known space. As if on cue, the station's alert systems activated. Hundreds of ships had appeared from hyperspace, a fleet assembled by those who wanted to maintain the old power structures. The station's shields activated automatically, but everyone knew they couldn't hold against such a force. Star didn't seem concerned. They smiled, revealing an expression that was pure Tom, the same confident grin he wore when solving seemingly impossible agricultural problems. Perfect timing, they said. Now everyone can see that there's a better way. Raising their hands, Star began to glow with intense light. The chamber's screens showed the enemy fleet, but instead of attacking, the ships had frozen in space. Star's consciousness reached out, touching the minds and energy signatures of everyone involved, both in the chamber and in the hostile fleet. Feel what I feel. Star's voice resonated through space itself. See what I see. Suddenly, every being present experienced a moment of profound connection. They saw the flow of energy that Star perceived, the beautiful dance of particles and waves that connected all living things. They felt the potential that existed when different species worked together, the power that could be generated when diversity was celebrated rather than feared. The hostile fleet's weapons powered down. On the screens, ship after ship signaled their surrender. Not because they were defeated, but because they finally understood. My very existence proves that the universe rewards harmony. Star continued. I am the child of a kiss between species, born from a moment of connection that should have been impossible. Every problem we face can be solved the same way, by bringing different perspectives together, by sharing energy instead of hoarding it. Tom stepped forward, his scientist's mind adding to his child's vision. Star's birth taught us that human adaptability and Star People energy manipulation could combine to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Imagine what other combinations are possible, what other miracles we might discover if we work together. Rose joined them, her form shifting through various species appearances. The galaxy is changing. We can either change with it, growing stronger through unity, or we can cling to old divisions and fade away. The chamber erupted in cheers as species after species pledged to join what would become known as the Harmony Accord. Star's teaching would spread throughout the galaxy, showing civilizations how to tap into and share their natural energy resources. The age of energy scarcity and competition was ending. Later that evening, Tom and Rose watched their child leading delegates from formerly hostile species in designing new energy distribution systems. You know, Tom said with a laugh, when I kissed you at that reception, I thought the biggest surprise would be waking up as a father. Rose's form sparkled with amusement. And instead? Instead, that kiss started a chain reaction that's transforming the galaxy. Tom looked at his shimmering hands. Makes you wonder what other amazing things might start with a simple moment of connection. Star overheard them and turned, their purple eyes twinkling. That's the beauty of it, Dad. In a way, everything amazing starts with a moment of connection. You and Mom just happened to make it literal. As the family shared a laugh, ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive, each carrying beings eager to learn, to share, and to be part of the new era that began with one impossible kiss.